Hello, everyone. My name is Richard, and today I want to share with you a very personal story. Honestly, I don't even know why I'm doing it. Maybe I just need to get it off my chest, or maybe I want to hear your opinion. I'm 39 years old and I work as an accountant at a small firm in Denver. Everything seemed to be going well in my life. Good job, stable income, beloved wife. Emily and I have been together for almost 15 years, and I've always considered our marriage to be exemplary. But recently something has gone wrong. Emily works as a journalist at a local newspaper and is constantly busy at work. All these endless articles, interviews, investigations. She comes home after midnight and sometimes doesn't even come home at all, staying overnight at the editorial office. At first, I treated it with understanding. Well, that's her job. Nothing you can do about it. But the more time passed, the more it started to annoy me. I see her for a couple of hours a day at most, and even then, she's always tired and uncommunicative. I'll be honest, I let myself go. I started drinking more in the evenings, taking less care of my health. What can you do? You sit alone within four walls and you could howl with longing. I don't have many friends, mostly just acquaintances from work, and there's no time to hang out with them, too much to do. So that's how I lived. Groundhog Day, you might say. Work home, and at home, silence and emptiness, enough to drive you up the wall. And then one day, once again, when Emily called to say she'd be late, my mother-in-law called. Barbara, Emily's mother, is a striking woman. At 60, she looks 45 at most, takes care of herself, dresses with taste. She's been a widow for 5 years, but has no shortage of admirers. "Hi, Richard," she sang into the phone. "How are you doing, son-in-law? How's Emily?" I grunted, as if she doesn't know. She raised her own daughter to be such a workaholic. "Well, she's stuck at work again," I grumbled. "And with me, same old, just sitting here watching TV." My mother-in-law clicked her tongue. She was silent for a bit, then said, "Listen, I have an idea. Let's go to the theater. I have an extra ticket and I don't want to go alone. Would you keep an old lady company?" I was taken aback. What's this now? Since when does Barbara invite me to the theater? Although, why not? I have nothing to do anyway, languishing at home. Maybe at least I'll get some distraction. "Sure, let's go," I agreed. "What time and where should I meet you?" And so there I was, all dressed up, on my way to meet my mother-in-law. Just think, a year ago I never would have thought I'd be hanging out with Barbara. Well, except at family gatherings, and even then, out of necessity. I pulled up to the theater and saw that Barbara was already there, standing at the entrance in a red knee-length dress, high heels, hair-styled. I'm sure if I were 30 years older, I'd definitely fall for her. But as it was, I just admired her as an appreciator of beauty. "Richard, darling, there you are," she beamed. "Finally, I thought I'd never see you." I walked over, kissed her on the cheek, gallantly offered my arm, led her into the hall. I must admit, it was even nice to feel like a cavalier. Immediately my shoulders straightened and my posture improved. Look, maybe Emily will even start getting jealous. The play turned out to be so-so. Some modern play with a bunch of allegories and references. I honestly didn't understand much, but Barbara seemed to be getting real enjoyment out of it. Now and then she'd nudge me with her elbow, whispering comments about what was happening on stage. After the second act, I was frankly bored. I yawned stealthily, fidgeted in my seat. My mother-in-law noticed my suffering and leaned to my ear. "You seem down, son-in-law. Don't you like it?" I hesitated. I didn't want to offend Barbara. After all, she'd made an effort, bought tickets. "No, not at all. I'm just a little tired. It's been crazy at work." My mother-in-law nodded understandingly. She patted my hand, smiled slyly. "It's okay. Hold on. Afterwards, we'll go to the bar and relax. My treat," I grunted. "Now that's more like it. A couple of cocktails certainly wouldn't hurt me now. Maybe I'll at least be a little distracted from my unhappy thoughts." So I sat through to the end, feigning lively interest. I clapped with everyone, nodded with a smart look. But to myself, I counted the minutes until the saving bar. And finally, the curtain, ovations, flowers for the actors. I let out a sigh of relief, helped Barbara with her coat, led her to the exit, gallantly holding her elbow. Inside, I was already anticipating. Now I'll hit the glass, and life will immediately play out in new colors. The bar turned out to be surprisingly crowded. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who decided to brighten up Friday night with a couple of cocktails. With difficulty, we found an empty table and plopped down on the couch. Barbara took charge of ordering, and soon tall glasses of some multicolored liquid stood before us. "What is this?" I sniffed suspiciously. "Sex on the beach," my mother-in-law winked. "To loosen up and get in the right mood." I nearly choked. Well, Barbara sure has some jokes. It's a good thing Emily can't hear, or she might get the wrong idea. I took a sip and grimaced. What a cloyingly sweet thing. But after the third glass, things got more fun. My head was buzzing. A pleasant warmth spread through my body. I even started joking and laughing, which I hadn't done in a long time. Barbara also livened up. Her cheeks flushed, her eyes sparkled. She moved closer and started talking animatedly about something. And I looked at her and thought, what a beautiful woman she is, and how lonely she must be after her husband's death. Even her daughter is always at work, completely neglecting her mother. Honestly, at some point, I even felt sorry for Barbara. I wanted to support her somehow, comfort her. I didn't even notice how my hand came to rest on her knee. My mother-in-law gave a start, looked surprised. But she didn't remove my hand. On the contrary, she covered it with her own. "Thank you, Richard," she sighed, "for the company, for this evening. I felt so good and calm next to you." Something caught in my chest. Damn, I myself didn't expect that I would be so comfortable with my mother-in-law. As if there was no age difference, as if we were peers and longtime friends. "I had a great time too," I smiled. "We should go out like this more often because I'm completely stuck at home." Barbara nodded. There was a strange expression in her eyes. Not sadness, not a hidden hope. "You know, Richard," she suddenly said, looking into my eyes, "I've always thought that Emily was incredibly lucky with her husband. You're so reliable, faithful, a strong male shoulder to always lean on." I was embarrassed. Well, I wasn't expecting compliments from my mother-in-law. Although, to be honest, it's nice, especially against the background of general inattention and indifference. "Come on, Barbara," I brushed it off. "What kind of ideal husband am I? Just average. I work, I earn money. But what's the use? It's like Emily doesn't even have me around. We live like neighbors, I swear." And I didn't even notice how I started pouring out my soul. About my loneliness, about my longing and irritation. About feeling unneeded by anyone, as if I'm floundering in a void. My mother-in-law listened silently, without interrupting. She only squeezed my hand, stroked it soothingly. And when I ran out of steam, she pulled me to her and hugged me, tightly until my ribs creaked. "My poor thing," she whispered right in my ear. "You're completely worn down, exhausted. Is it right to bury yourself like this for so many years? You're still young, full of strength. Live for your own pleasure, enjoy every day." It was as if a dam had burst inside me. I buried my face in Barbara's shoulder, inhaled the delicate scent of her perfume. And suddenly I felt that I wanted her wildly, unbearably, until my fingers trembled, until I was dizzy. I don't know what came over me, as if some eclipse, some clouding of reason. I pulled back, looked into Barbara's eyes. I saw the reflection of my own desire in them, and I simply reached for her lips. It was like a flash, like an electric shock. My mother-in-law gasped, went limp in my arms. But she immediately responded, greedily, frantically. We kissed like teenagers, clashing teeth, biting until we bled. I ran my hands over her body, crumpled the expensive fabric of her dress, and she whimpered into my mouth and clung to my shoulders like a drowning woman. We only came to our senses when the waiter coughed delicately over our ears. We surfaced from our madness, stared at each other with crazy eyes. Barbara's lips were swollen, her mascara had run, and I probably didn't look much better myself, all sweaty and flushed. "Check, please," I said hoarsely, not taking my eyes off my mother-in-law. Barbara silently nodded, reached for her purse for her wallet. She paid, smoothed her dress, looked at me, questioningly, frightened. I swallowed. I felt everything inside me turning over with fear and anticipation. I knew it was wrong, that it was mean to do this behind my wife's back. But I couldn't stop anymore. "Let's go to my place," I blurted out before I could change my mind. My mother-in-law bit her lip. Panic flashed in her eyes, replaced by determination. She nodded, rising from the table. "Let's go, just quickly, before I come to my senses." I don't remember the way home. I drove on autopilot, glancing at Barbara from time to time. She sat quietly, looking out the window. I think she was even breathing in half-breaths. We had barely tumbled into the apartment when we pounced on each other. We tore at clothes, stumbling as we went. We kissed until our ears rang. We reached the bedroom completely naked. Then reality drowned in a whirlpool of passion and lust. Our bodies and souls intertwined in an ecstatic dance, reveling in the closeness. I covered Barbara with feverish caresses, going crazy with her responsiveness, with her sweet moans and sighs. Never before had love been so all-consuming, so sharp and piercing. We merged into one, dissolving into each other without a trace, tormenting and caressing, alternating tenderness with frenzy. Barbara responded to every movement, every kiss, languishing with pleasure. Her ecstasy was my triumph. Her passion was my reward. It lasted an eternity. Or maybe just a few minutes. Everything got mixed up, lost its meaning. There were only our heated bodies, only the mad, forbidden desire, washing over us again and again, throwing us over the edge. At some point, I felt that I was about to explode. I moved faster, sharper. Barbara cried out, trembled all over. She threw back her head, rolled back her eyes. Her frantic pulse echoed in my veins, driving me crazy. A few seconds later, it hit me too. A blinding, almost painful orgasm. I fell on Barbara, breathing convulsively. I heard her heart pounding, her breathing gradually evening out. I buried my nose in her hair, scattered on the pillow. So we lay there, emptied, wet with sweat, still entwined in an embrace, still one whole, unable to move, unable to believe it. Lord, what have we done? I woke up to bright sunlight pouring over my face and shoulders. I pried my eyes open with difficulty, trying to figure out where I was and what happened yesterday. And then everything came crashing down at once. The bar, the cab, the night with Barbara, wild, mind-blowing insanity. I groaned, rubbed my face hard with my hands. Damn it, what have I done? I slept with my mother-in-law, betrayed my wife. What made me think to drag Barbara to my place? Okay, if I had just slept with her once somewhere on the sly, quickly. But no, I arranged a whole romantic adventure. With foreplay, kisses, damn romance. I sat up in bed, staring dumbly in front of me. Well, you're a fool, Richard. There's no need to put your brain in place to back off. While it wasn't too late, while you hadn't messed up. And now what? Now you can't back up. You can't back out. You're stuck, buddy, up to your eyeballs. Suddenly I realized I didn't hear Barbara. No footsteps, no rustle of clothing. I turned around. Sure enough, she's gone. Snuck away quietly while I slept. To understand whether she was ashamed of what she had done or regretted what had happened. Although, what's the difference? The main thing is that she's not at home, not hanging in front of my eyes. Otherwise, I definitely wouldn't have restrained myself. I would have started hugging and kissing. This woman has completely blown my mind. This is what happens to you, huh? It would be something to fall for. And then the mother-in-law, my wife's mother. Where is the world going? With a groan, I got up and trudged to the shower. I stood for a long time under the scalding streams, as if hoping to wash away the dirt, and not just the dirt on the outside. I wish I could just as easily get rid of my thoughts and feelings of guilt, but no way. They're stuck tight. I somehow got dressed and wandered into the kitchen. Maybe make some coffee. Maybe at least that will put my brain back in place. And anyway, I need to pull myself together. Decide how to live on, what to do with work, with family. God, family. I have a wife. How can I look Emily in the eye now? I sat down at the table, dropped my head in my hands. Damn, why is this happening to me? Why couldn't I be like normal people, love my wife, raise kids? But no, I had to go on adventures. And what adventures? Sleeping with my own mother-in-law. Yuck. Disgusting. The phone ringing distracted me from my self-flagellation. I glanced at the screen and froze. Barbara! I pressed receive, put the phone to my ear. Hoarsely grunted. Hello? Richard? My mother-in-law's voice was tired. How are you? Are you feeling okay? Never better, I said with a mirthless chuckle. Why are you calling? Just because or for a reason? Silence on the other end. Then Barbara sighed, spoke softly. About yesterday, forgive me, okay? I don't know what came over me. It's terrible, dishonest, immoral. I'm just worthless. There were tears in her voice. I groaned, gripped my hair. Well, now I have to comfort my mother-in-law too. I have enough of my own worries. Come on, I grumbled awkwardly. What's done is done, you know. We're both good, you understand? You knew he was a married man, your daughter's husband. Why'd you go for it?" A sob on the other end. Then Barbara answered dully, "I don't know, Richard. Really, I don't. I guess I just really like you. For a long time now, to be honest. So I couldn't help myself, the old fool." I was suffocating with indignation. "What do you mean you like me? What is this, kindergarten confessions? We're adults, for God's sake. Married, responsible people. What kind of feelings can there be? And for a son-in-law at that." "Wow," I said through clenched teeth. "Came waltzing in here, crying. And did you think about your daughter? About Emily? How will she feel when she finds out her mother is fooling around with her husband?" "Don't tell her," Barbara squealed in fright. "I'm begging you, Richard. Emily must never know. Let's just forget it, okay? Pretend it never happened." I just gritted my teeth. "Yeah, forget it, sure. In your dreams, I just gritted my teeth. Yeah, we'll forget about it. You're running away, Mommy. You can think I'll be able to see you now and not remember how you moaned under me, how you writhed and clawed, whispering obscenities. But I said something else out loud. Okay, if we're forgetting, then we're forgetting. Consider that nothing happened. Don't call me anymore, Barbara, and don't come over, or else, God forbid, you'll get in my pants again." I hung up, not waiting for an answer. I threw the phone on the table, covered my face with my hands. God, what is this? Why is everything so shitty, huh? I was living my life calmly, not suspecting a thing. And there you have it. I slept with my mother-in-law once, and now I have to deal with it. The next week turned into hell for me. I jumped at every shadow, at any rustle. I was scared shitless that Emily would find out everything. See some hickey on my neck or smell someone else's perfume. Who knows what these women are capable of? They have an intuition or something? Or does a third eye open after the wedding? Work also became unbearable. I sat on pins and needles, shaking with horror. What if one of my colleagues saw Barbara and me at the bar? Or even worse, near the house when we were kissing in the car? Rumors spread quickly. Before you know it, the whole office will be in the know. I was also afraid to run into Barbara by accident. I knew that now there would be no hiding from her. She would catch my eye at every opportunity, smile innocently, wiggle her eyebrows. Like, "Here I am, your crush. Go for it, son-in-law. Don't be shy. No thanks. Count me out. I've already played enough. The fever has passed. Enough adultery and love exercises for me. I still remember the pants with a shudder. Got into something uninvited, you fool. Now sit and wait for a dirty trick, when a bolt from the blue will strike. But damn it, I missed that hellraiser. I don't know if it's witchcraft or a clouding of the mind, but Barbara just wouldn't get out of my head even if I tried. She stood before my eyes. Languid, hot. I remembered every curve of her body, every moan, how she squinted sweetly when I kissed her all over. Such fantasies instantly stirred the blood, inflamed desire. The temptation was immeasurable, almost unbearable. I wanted to spit on the arguments of reason, on the voice of conscience, rush to Barbara, give in to the primordial call of the flesh, to dissolve in her, in this sweet madness, to forget myself once and for all. A couple of times I even reached for the phone. I only stopped at the last moment. I pulled myself back, reminded myself, "You're married, you cretin. You have obligations, responsibility. You can't think only with your lower head." But it couldn't go on for long. It was as if two people were fighting inside me, two principles. One said, "Forget it, throw it out of your heart, live as you lived, be happy with what you have." And the second one nudged, "Go, don't be stupid. Love while you can, kiss while you breathe. Not everyone in life gets such happiness." In the end, I couldn't take it anymore. I gathered my courage on Friday and called Barbara, suggested we meet, talk. I felt I had to resolve it somehow. Otherwise, I'll go completely crazy from this torment, from this discord. My mother-in-law was delighted. Her voice even trembled with excitement. She made an appointment for an hour later in a nearby park. I agreed, hung up. I left the office, got in the car. I drove off wherever my eyes looked, just to pass the time. I came to the park 10 minutes before the appointed time. I walked in circles, biting my nails. I was scared to death, my knees were shaking. God, what am I going to say to her? What do I want? What do I hope for? I'm confused up to my ears. I don't know myself. "Richard!" The call behind me made me flinch. I turned around. Mother of my wife. Barbara was standing 2 steps away. Beautiful, rosy-cheeked, in a long coat, hair blowing in the wind, looking inquiringly, hopefully, as if her whole life depended on my answer. I swallowed, stepped forward. My throat instantly went dry. My tongue stuck to the roof of my mouth. Wow, how I get stuck on her at the mere sight of her. I could scream for help, not a man, but a trembling jelly. "Hello, Barbara," I exhaled hoarsely. "Glad you came. We need to talk." My mother-in-law nodded, gestured for me to walk. We strolled along the path in silence, only furtively glancing at each other, as if afraid to scare away the fleeting magic, to break the fragile balance. I thought about how to begin, how to explain to Barbara all this chaos inside me, the desire to be with her, and the horror of betraying my wife, the willingness to go all the way, and the fear of destroying the family. Love so strong that I can't breathe, and the guilt that eats away at my soul. "Barb, I began uncertainly. "You have to understand I can't go on like this, in limbo, in constant fear, that Emily will find out, that someone saw us. I'm twitching every second, waiting for a setup. I can't take it anymore." My mother-in-law stopped. She turned to me, looked into my eyes, in her own, a universal longing, an immeasurable understanding. As if she knows in advance what I'm going to say, what I'm getting at with this whole conversation. "I know, dear," she said softly, bitterly. "I'm going out of my mind myself. I'm torturing myself, calling myself every name in the book. How could I? How dare I? Betray my own daughter, lead you into sin. I'm the last bitch, a nobody." Tears ran down Barbara's cheeks, silent, burning. I froze, clenched my fists, bit my lip until it bled so I wouldn't scream out loud. It hurts so much, Lord, to see her suffering, to know that I am the cause of it. And I can't comfort her. I have no right. Everything that was, a lie, a sham, unworthy of both of us, inadmissible. "Here's the thing, Barbara," I said dully, turning away. "Let's end this, okay? Before it gets worse, before we make a mess of things. You understand? We have no future. Only pain, shame, and remorse. And I just can't. Emily doesn't deserve it. She's good. She loves me. She's waiting for me. And I, the bastard, am fooling around." Barbara sobbed, nodded convulsively, wiping away tears. Then she raised her eyes to me, miserable, full of anguish. "I guess you're right," she whispered, biting her lips. "Better right away, one blow, than to torment each other, to be torn by guilt. You're a good man, Richard. Worthy, honest, not like me. Forgive me if you can. Forgive me for everything." My heart sank with pain. I grabbed her shoulders, pulled her to me. I buried my face in her tousled curls, inhaled the beloved scent. I squeezed my eyes shut, waiting out the spasm in my throat. Why? Why is it like this? Why can't we love each other openly, without hiding, without this burden, without the feeling of dirt? "I forgive you," I breathed almost inaudibly. "I love you, you little devil. I love you more than life itself. I just can't do it like this. Understand? I don't know how to betray, to lie to my face. Emily, she's my wife, my closest person, the closest one. I can't do this to her so meanly." Barbara nodded into my chest. She hugged my neck, froze in my arms. She was silent for a long time, only shuddering all over, as if for the last time she was catching my warmth. She understood that it would never be like this again, cheek to cheek, heart to heart. "Emily is lucky to have you," she finally said, pulling away. "You're the best man in the world, honest, decent. Take care of her, cherish what you have. And about me, forget about me. Erase me from your memory, from your heart, as if I never existed, as if nothing ever happened." I clenched my teeth, blinking away the burning moisture with the back of my hand. Nodded, not looking at Barbara. I knew, if I meet her gaze, that's it. I'm lost. I'll go to hell. I'll spit on my principles. I'll send Prudence to hell. I'll grab her in my arms, and come what may. "Goodbye, Richard," I heard as if through cotton. "Be happy, you hear? Live a long, bright life. Don't regret anything. Don't blame yourself for anything. You did everything right, made the only right decision." I heard quick, receding footsteps. I barely restrained myself from rushing after her. I forced myself to stand still, to drill the horizon with an empty gaze. "That's it, Richie. Finita la commedia. The curtain's down. The silly play is over. The lights are going out. Reality surrounded me on all sides, ordinary, gray, without fire, without blinding colors. So I wandered home, stunned, emptied. I knew I had done the right thing. preserved the family, didn't betray my wife, saved the only thing that is truly valuable. Only inside it was as if everything had been burned out, burned to the ground, and in place of the soul, a gaping sore hole. Emily met me at the door, cheerful, affectionate. She kissed me, began to chirp about her day, and I listened in silence, nodded, smiled with effort, hugged her gently, thanked God that she didn't notice anything, didn't catch the falseness, the pretense, took it for granted. Her husband is tired, that's why he's frowning. All evening I sat on pins and needles. I was afraid I would break down, burst into tears out loud, hide from everyone, crawl into a corner. Anything but to see, not to pretend, not to squeeze out joy, not to pretend to be serene. I went to bed early, claiming a migraine. I buried my face in the pillow, bit the edge of my palm. How sick I am, Lord. How unbearably disgusting I feel. It seemed that fate itself had made fun of me. It sent love, huge, all-consuming, and took it away in an instant, trampled it in the bud. I groaned dully, crumpling the sheets. I knew that everything was right, that this is how it should be in good conscience. Dirty flings can't bring happiness. Sooner or later they will come out anyway. And then it's a collapse, a disgrace, a heap of debris. But why is it so bitter, so lousy then? Why does it seem better to drop dead? Better if there was nothing, no tenderness, no uplifting feeling. Since it's all doomed anyway, all hopeless anyway. I spent the whole night awake, listening to Emily's measured breathing behind the wall, the ticking of the clock, replaying our conversation with Barbara in my memory. Her tears, the pain in her beloved eyes, understanding, reconciliation with the inevitable. Lord, what an asshole I am. What a coward and a scoundrel. I broke her heart, trampled it to dust, and I'm lying in a warm bed, next to a faithful, unsuspecting wife. But I'll endure it. I'll chew it up and swallow this pain, this powerlessness. Because I have to. Because there's no other way out. For Emily's sake, for the sake of our family. To hell with feelings. Not for the sake of fat, but for the sake of being alive. To save at least what I haven't managed to ruin. And Barbara, well, she'll get over it. A strong, determined woman. She's seen worse, it's not the first time for her. She'll cope somehow, heal her wounds. She'll find someone better, forget the scoundrel son-in-law. So that's how it will all end, my friends. Quietly, ingloriously, without a bang. Just a notch on the heart, a bleeding scar. It will heal someday, scab over. It will stop twitching, aching at night. In the meantime, we have to go on living. Day by day, little by little. Work, love your wife, make plans for the future, believe in the best. There's nothing else to do. There are no other options. Thank you all for listening, for your attention, for your understanding. Don't judge harshly. Don't kick a man when he's down. And don't get into it yourself. Don't ruin yourself. It's not worth it, I'm telling you, as the guilty party. Cherish your loved ones. Appreciate what you have. And be happy, as much as possible. After all, you only live once. And spending it on regrets, tormented by guilt, is the last thing. On this, perhaps, I will end my confession. I've spoken out, let go of what has accumulated. Maybe it will be a lesson for you, too. Teach you not to repeat my mistakes, not to chase a pie in the sky. To all, pure love and strong families, and less of these kinds of stories that make you gray before your time. Do we need it? I don't think so. Well, that's it, folks. Thanks for the company, for listening. God grant you all what you deserve, and may everything be well with you, not like with me. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.